And every now and then you get a little bit thrown for a loop. Like this year, Nielsen Paulus just said, you know what? Chuck in Roubaix in there. And we were all kind of looked around like, you want to do Roubaix? And he was like, yeah, man, I want to do Roubaix, Paris-Roubaix. So I was like, sweet, let's do it.
But going there for the 100% peaking for that's a big change. And I love it. I mean, that makes a lot more eyeballs. I'm tuning in as it is, but now that Remco's going to be there, I'm even more excited. These kind of guys who could truly go up the road. And if he's a problem, if he's up the road, he's a big problem.
You're getting kids basically right out of high school now. So imagine like Geraint Thomas comes knocking on your door. It'll be like Nick Saban or primetime Deion Sanders coming knocking and sitting on the mom's couch and like saying, we're really interested in your kid here. If you have Geraint Thomas picking up the phone and calling these guys, flying around, going in and sitting in the mom's living rooms and eating their pie and cookies and drinking their coffee, saying, hey, we're really interested in your kid, that's gonna carry some weight.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Christian Van Velde, and this is Beyond the Podium. Not much to talk about as far as cycling news going on, but this is an exciting point in time of the year for all the teams. And of course, with Tejay Van Garderen, my co-host, this is his 5th year already on the other side of the fence. So I'm curious to see what has changed in this time of the year. I mean, a lot has changed. I mean, first of all, Tejay, if you think back before you were a young whippersnapper, these camps before the next year actually began didn't exist. This was a new thing that's happened in the last 20 or so years. And it makes a lot of sense. Like, why go to your training camp in January, February and take so much time by taking the pictures? Your bike doesn't fit, the clothing doesn't fit, all these things that you could be taking care of before the year truly starts in fruition. So you just got done with this camp. First of all, has there been too much of a change or big changes since you were 5-6 years ago when you were on the other side to today?
Yeah, to be honest, I feel like it was similar when I first started. We just had one camp in January that was just specifically training, that we were trying to fit in some meetings and stuff around it. But now we split up into 2 camps. We have one camp where they're doing a little bit of training. This is the one we just did, but it's also, you invite the sponsors, so you get to meet and greet, you get to meet all the new riders, you get to get your bike fit done, you get to socialize a little bit. It's only November, so even though the guys are on their bike, they get to get a little loose, they get to kind of, hang out at the bar a little bit. But I mean, back when you were racing, there wasn't Tour Down Under. That, like, what was the first year of Tour Down Under? Probably partway through your career. Like,
yeah, no, you're right. And we did, but to be fair, in 98, 99, 2000, I mean, many years in the US, but we didn't even think about, nor did we have the budget to even think about having an extra camp to get everyone together. Yeah, and I'm not going to lie, like when we first started doing these, they were, and this is no flex in any sense of the word, it was ugly, man. It was more or less a drinking camp, and it wasn't just us. That was across the board. I mean, that's just how it was. Hazing the new guys. I don't care if there was a soigneur or a mechanic. If you're new to the team, you're being hazed. And yeah, again, not proud, but this is just how it was at the time. So, has that, I mean, this is really just onboarding, TJ. So, I mean, first of all, what is the percentage you reckon for your 26 EF team who weren't a part of the program last year? And I'm talking across the board, whether it's a chiropractor, a doctor, all the way to a rider.
Oh, yeah, there's definitely some new staff that got brought on. Right now the organization has grown just massively because now we have a development team, we have the women's team as well as the men's team. So, there were, obviously guys from the development team that either moved on or stepped up. We also got some people from the women's team that moved on and, brought in some new ones. And same with the men's team. So every year you come to this camp, and even though I've been on the team 5 years, this will be my 5th year as a director and also 3 years as a rider, I'm sitting there at camp looking around and I'm like, man, I know basically half of these people, and half these people I have no clue who they are. And also we're bringing in a bunch of new sponsors. ASOS, a new sponsor. So yeah, you're just meeting all of these people for the first time, and man, it's a real test to see if you can get all those names straight. But no, yeah, it's a good time to get together in November because you don't have the racing right around the corner. So if you try to do this a little too late, pushed up to the season, then guys are like, they're stressed to get that training in and, trying to fit in the meetings and the travel. It's kind of cold and flu season. So it's like, okay, let's get all of this out of the way in November. And then, the clear run in the holidays, and then you can just get focused on the season.
Now, I think for a lot of our listeners, it's pretty shocking to hear the actual number of people that you have at these camps. I mean, you have so much. It's a lot of people just think, okay, training camp, you have your 27-ish riders from the pro team together and a couple trainers or directors, and that's it. You have hundreds of people here, don't you?
We brought everybody. We brought all the sponsors, we brought all the mechanics, all the soigneurs, all the doctors, all the riders, all the directors, all the trainers, all the management team, the logistics team. We had this massive, massive hotel, and I swear we booked out every single room.
And what's I know you don't have an exact number. Maybe you do. Do you know how many people were actually there?
People came in and out. So some of the sponsors, they came in for a few days and then left. And some people came in early and, left. We also had guests from EF coaching who kind of paid to be there, taken care of, and on this little training camp, kind of in Gamba style thing. So, and they left at a certain point. But if you added up everybody, it's got to be close to 500 people.
What?
I would not be shocked if it was, because it's 3 different teams. You're talking about all those people for 3 different teams, and all the sponsors and all the guests.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay. I'm even now. Okay. I'm glad I asked that because I thought it was going to be like 270, 250, and it's double that. Oh my Lord. Okay, so this.
Well, to be fair, Christian, there were a few nights that I was seeing a little double at the camp.
Oh my God, you don't have to admit that. This definitely sheds light though on why we have these massive budgets. When you're kind of dropping the kind of change, and you guys are not staying at a crappy hotel. It's a beautiful spot, and I think it was PGA Catalunya, correct? Were you at the golf course?
Yeah, the Cameral. Yeah,
beautiful spot. So sick. But this sheds a lot of light, and this is one of many different training camps, probably the most expensive training camp, to be fair. And for most organizations, especially if you have as much depth that you have. You have the under 23 team, the women's team. The women's team is for real. They have an amazing team over there as well. So that's a lot of staff. Anyways, it's a lot more than you think. I was speaking with Bradley Wiggins last weekend, and he was telling me about what he's seen through Ben's eyes, his son, who was on JCO the last couple of years on the under 23 team, and what the amount of people, how many people they bring to the Tour de France, brother. It used to be just 2 soigneurs with 9 riders, and then that became 3, and then we got 3. We're like, oh man, we were made in the shade. And then one guy would always drop out, and there's only 2 guys, and now everyone has individual soigneurs, mechanics. What's the number? I know we're completely going off script here, but what's the number? Because this is blowing my mind actually, that you bring to the tour or big grand tours.
Ooh, yeah, the tour, it's just something different because they also bring a lot of sponsors and a lot of guests. And we had a specific staff member, actually 2 specific staff members. This was a 2-man job and a specific van for this job, just to install the 8 sleeps on all the riders' beds for the night, so that they could sleep in like a cooler temperature and have that. I don't know if you know what 8 sleep is. It's like this mattress.
But yeah, explain, because it's worth it, because I think they're amazing.
Yeah, I've never used one, but apparently it's this mattress that it's cooled with this liquid and it kind of times your circadian rhythm to where it cools you off as you're falling asleep and kind of warms you up in the morning. So it just follows this. It just keeps you at this perfect temperature all night, which, Christian, sometimes you're staying in these campagnils with no air conditioning, and on this crappy mattress that it's not like the PGA, when we're on tour in the Tour de France. Sometimes you get lucky, but oftentimes you're pretty unlucky. And yeah, these things, it's a game changer in terms of making sure the riders have a well-rested night's sleep, but they are heavy. They come in this like 80 kilo box, and it takes 2 people to lift it, and a full van to fit all these things in. So we have 2 specific staff members just to install these 8 sleeps. And yeah, like you said, we have chefs, 2 chefs. Usually there's 2 chefs, like you have a chef and a runner. Yeah, everyone has their own soigneur. I don't know how many mechanics. I'm going to guess like 5 or 6 mechanics. You're going to have 3 different directors, plus the 8 riders, plus JV is going to be there. It's a crazy thing.
Everyone has their own soigneur. Everyone has their own massage therapist.
Now that I don't know. I mean, I don't think anyone is going to be doing more than 2 massages. So if there's 8 riders, there's at least 4, but I'm guessing there's 5.
Okay. I thought that sounded completely insane. That's all.
Yeah,
that's all.
maybe I was exaggerating. Like I said, sometimes I see double.
All right. So back to training camp. So training camp, I mean, you're pretty much, it's onboarding, right? You know, for whether yourself, this is your 8th year with the organization. It's not like you're learning too much, but for the new people and some people just to remind it, or things that are changing with new sponsors, like you brought up with ASOS. I mean, you're doing your kit, you're doing your bike fit, media, photos, all the things you want to get out of the way. But one of the bigger ones is like, that I like, and I think is a great time for it, is the one-on-one meetings that you have, and usually have your 5 or 6, let's call it ish, right? How many, was everyone there for these, TJ, for all your directors in this meeting?
Yeah, all the directors sit in for all of the riders. So the riders come in individually, but all the 8 directors are going to be there in this meeting, so we can all give input, because we talk about what happened in the previous season, what went well, what didn't go well, what can we improve. And then Charlie Wegelius, he'll put up the program for the year. Some things the riders will be happy about, some things they won't be happy about. Most of it went very well. I'm surprised how well everyone was just stoked on their program, but some people want races added in. Some people want to do something different. So we make notes of it, see if it's possible, see what we can change around. And every now and then you get a little bit thrown for a loop. Like this year, Nielsen Paulus just said, you know what? Chuck in Roubaix in there. And we were all kind of looked around like, do you want to do Roubaix? And he was like, yeah, man, I want to do Roubaix, Paris-Roubaix. So I was like, sweet, let's do it. That'll be a fun project. But yeah,
and
no.
Did he have reasoning to back that up for him? Because you're not going to just, you guys have a good team. I mean, it'd be one thing if you're on an old school Spanish team, you want to do, they'll like happily have somebody, a warm body there. But did Nielsen have a reason to back that up?
Well, he said he felt really good in Dwars-Door-Vlaanderen, and that's kind of a mix of hilly cobbles and flat cobbles. And he said he felt very comfortable on the flat cobbles. Remember, he had that really good ride in the Tour de France a few years back where he just very, very narrowly missed the yellow jersey on that stage. So I think he feels really comfortable on the cobbles. And his reasoning was, in this Tadej Pogacar era, you're probably not going to be able to him up La Redoute. You're going to have a hard time beating him in Giro de Lombardy. So if you're going to try to beat him in a monument, it's probably going to need to be a flatter one where you can draft him and maybe things get a little bit tactical. And he said, if I'm going to have a chance to win one, it's going to be Paris-Roubaix or Milan-San Remo. Now, obviously, Tadej Pogacar is also not going to be easy to beat in those, but if you're going to have a puncher's chance, it's probably going to be in one of those 2. And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, if anyone can do it, I think Nielsen is perfectly suited for it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy who's won some tricky races. I mean, San Sebastian's one of those races, very tactical like that as well. Now it's so hard in the finale that it comes down to legs many times. But he does bring up a good point. On the flip side, if I'm going to play devil's advocate, you're going to 2 races that Teddy's like, these are the ones I want to win. You're like, oh no. So he's put all his emphasis onto that.
But those are the ones.
Yeah, it's true.
Those are the ones that are hardest for him to win.
Yeah, for good reason. You brought up a good point earlier. You said, how you were talking about the 8 sleep and the hotels, in the Tour de France, but in general, not always 5-star. Let's just put it that way. I mean, you're hoping for 2 and 3, and that's on a different system that we have here in the United States. 2 or 3 is not the same as what you have over here. So, so you have this utopia. Everything's sick, brand new. You stay in this great place. No one's hurt, sick, and everyone has fresh eyes. So excited. Well, for the most part, for the race programs. And, a little caveat with the race program. I mean, I could count on one hand out of my 16 or 17 years racing professionally that I actually did my race program that was set forth before me in December, January. So, it's funny like how wrapped around the axle we get talking about the race programs, because shit's going to go sideways within the first month of racing. Someone's going to get sick. Someone's going to break their collarbone in the Middle East. And so regardless, so you're here at this beautiful camp. Everything's great. And how do you start to adjust to the mindset of like, okay, now January, February, when you have the real training camps, when you're doing the real work and you're testing the riders, changing that switch to being like, all right, it's game time. That was fun. We got that all the way, but now we're changing over.
Yeah, no, definitely this November camp. It's kind of like a Christmas holiday. Everyone's getting new stuff, and staff included. We're all getting kitted out with our new polos or whatever, and all the riders, they're opening up their ASOS packages and they're like writing their names on it. They're getting their new bikes, which is like beautifully painted. They're doing a bit of training, but it's all pretty fun and pretty relaxed, no real efforts, and everybody's healthy. Nobody's sick, nobody's injured. Everything is just perfect. We're staying at this beautiful hotel. Everyone's getting along great, socializing, meeting all the new staff, meeting all the new riders, making friends, and just like catching up. And then you just know that once Down Under start, and yeah, Charlie Wegelius, bless him, bless this guy, man, because I could not do what he does. He makes the program for all the riders. He's painting the Mona Lisa here. Like, this rider will be perfect for here. This rider will be perfect for here. If we have this team in this race, these are the tasks these guys can do. This guy will probably be a good leader. But as soon as you hit Down Under or Majorca Challenge, someone's going to come down with COVID. Someone is, knock on wood, going to end up in the hospital or with an injury or tendonitis, or their shoes didn't fit right, so they got a knee alignment thing, and it has like this trickle down effect, right? Like, so if you have to take someone out, you have to put someone in, but if you put someone in there, it's taken from another race, and everything just compounds. And so this perfect, beautiful picture that Charlie Wegelius drew is just this constantly evolving thing to where it ends up just looking like a madhouse by Paris-Nice, and you're just looking for fresh bodies to just throw in anywhere. Hopefully we have a clean enough run through the spring. That's the hardest time of the year to get through, as you know. It's cold, it's wet, it's dangerous, and everyone's nervous because it's a new season. So it's like all the possibilities are right there on the line, especially with the point system starting fresh. Everyone's going to want to get ahead of it for the new year. But yeah, no, it was a nice little relaxed spot, but I think it was JV that really flipped the switch, to be honest, because he gave one of those speeches and he's like, guys, these are the goals for this year. We can have fun right now, but once we're done with this camp, the goals are this, the goals are this, the goals are this. So these are the expectations. So now go off with your trainers, go off with your directors, and let's get it done.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, because I've been to enough of those, and especially with JV. And by the way, I was speaking with our director before this, and I had the privilege of being the first one in 2007, going into the 2008 season on there, and hats off to JV, 17th year, 8th longest running team there is right now. So that's something to be talking about these going forward. I mean, making the 20 years. There's not so many teams that have ever done that, let alone currently in fruition this far. So it's come a long way. But knowing JV, knowing that speech, because I've heard it many times, and shit, I'd probably do the same thing, TJ, and you probably would as well. Especially when you're spending that kind of money, you're seeing everyone act like idiots. You're like, all right, well, we also have to be on point, and many times during the season, and what are our objectives? So that was my question going to be before you even said that, was there an underlying stressor or anything that you're going to take some big chances on, some big swings, that things are going to change around? Not to give away too much that it's guarded within the organization, but a lot of times this is the time you have to really think outside the box. Like you mentioned with Nielsen Powers, thinking about taking a big swing at Roubaix. Was there anything else that stuck out to you?
Well, not a whole lot of massive changes in the team. Obviously, Richard Carapaz is coming back, so we're going to be happy to have him back. Hopefully, like this year, he was planning on doing the Giro Tour double. That'll be his objective again. He got sick after the Giro, so hopefully he can have a nice, healthy, clean run there. I think we have a good plan set up and saw what went wrong there, but and hopefully we can correct it. Yeah, Nielsen Paulus, he kind of surprised us all with the Paris-Roubaix thing, but we're like, great, if that motivates you, we're gonna make it happen. We're gonna support him 100%. But I'd say the biggest change going into EF Education Easy Post this year is we got some fast guys. I mean, we've had Marijn Vandenberg for a few years.
Yeah.
Modest Mikkels has been on, but we also got the American Luke Lampretti.
Yeah, I like this. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, he's fast, but he's strong. He's like one of those kind of like maybe can morph into a Michael Matthews style rider, maybe not like a Jasper Philipsen kind of speed demon, but like he can win some of those like kicks to the line in some hard stages. And we also have this guy who just graduated from the development squad, Noah Hobbs. Now this dude, he's coming from the track. He is fast. I got the pleasure to work with this kid in the Circuit de la Sarthe, or the Pays de Loire, whatever the new name of it is. This guy, he is a killer, man. He's going to win lots of races. So remember this name, Noah Hobbs. Put your money on him, Christian.
I like that. And I like the combination of both Noah and Luke Lamparty together. Youngsters from the United States that could really go quick. I got this chance to hang out with Luke quite a bit in San Francisco for USA Cycling event just a couple of weeks ago. And what stuck out to me was his qualities as a person, above and beyond his cycling prowess. And he seems like a leader, right? And JV said the same thing. So I'm really keen to see how he goes about this year. Going from Quick Step, maybe not getting the program that he always wanted, or the luxury of being able to go for the races that he wanted to go for that suit his characteristics. Because we always think, still don't know too much about him. I only got to see him race in a handful of races that were on TV over here. But what I think about is him just wiping the floor in the crit, coming back over here for 2 or 3 days, winning US Pro by like 12 bike lengths, just completely dismantling everyone by himself, by the way, with no lead out whatsoever, no teammates. So you're saying that he's strong. He's just as strong as he is quick, huh?
Oh yeah. Like think of races like Brabantse Pijl, which is kind of a shortened version of Amstel Gold. Now he's still young. He could I would not be surprised if by the end of his career he also could be featured in Amstel Gold, kind of like the way Oscar Freire, would always go for that. Like he can climb, he's strong, and he's quick. So but he also has this experience leading out guys like Tim Merlier. So I think he'll always be honest with himself. And if Noah Hobbs, he's the fastest guy, he'll be able to lead him out. But if it's a race that's suited for him, he's not afraid to put his hand up and say, guys, I think today's my day. So let's get this done.
I love it.
Not only that, we also have Jeremy Hunt and Greg Henderson on as sprint coaches, like just purely to work with these guys and break down sprints and the lead outs and having these guys together. So I actually think it's going to be really, really exciting, because I think it's been since Tyler Farrar, since this team has really had like a cohesive unit to actually just like go for these bunch kicks. And Matty Breschel's working with a lot of these guys, and he's, no stranger to these sprint finishes. So I look forward to seeing EF Education Easy Post featured in some of these bunch kicks.
Oh, I love to hear that, TJ. I could feel your enthusiasm about that too. It takes a lot for you to get excited like that. So I appreciate that.
I started my career on a sprint team, man. I started my career teammates with Cavendish, Greipel, and Matt Goss, man. I'm like, okay, like let's hop in these lead outs. So I was a total fish out of water, because I'm this GC kind of time trialer guy, and they're like, yep, you're jumping in the lead out. I'm like, but you learn pretty quick. So I'm excited to see how these guys are going to handle it.
Well, that's great. Jumping out of EF, like I was mentioning earlier, it's an exciting time for many of these teams. This is the first time that you could think and be around your teammates. let's be honest, many times you meet these people, whether it be staff or teammates, and you never see them again. I mean, like you mentioned earlier on the phone when we were talking, you're not going to see Charlie probably till next November again at training camp. So I mean, that's just how it is. It's the nature of the beast. But it does give us a little bit of ammunition for what's going on. Someone else, Remco Evenepoel, put his hand up for going for Tour of Flanders. I mean, what do you think about that?
Hey, we still have this bet going, right, Christian?
I was hoping
Remember
you forgot about the TIG.
Yeah, we got a magnum of Tignanello riding on that Remco Evenepoel can win Flanders. I mean, he's so aero. He's perfectly suited for it. Nowadays with the technology and the tires and everything, like you basically just, and the tire pressure especially, he's just going to be able to roll over those cobbles. He'll attack from early out. He's so aero. If he gets that gap, and now the big caveat, if he comes into it healthy, because he's had a kind of a shaky run into the past couple of seasons. So I would not be surprised at all if he comes out of Flanders victorious. And he's Belgian. He's on a new squad, wants to make a splash. He's got Alan Piper there, who lives in Belgium. I'm excited about this.
No, I think whether or not what he does in the race, every marquee rider that comes to big races together, we've been having this conversation for a long time. I mean, I think it's been 20 years. In 2005, I want to say, is when the World Tour, Pro Tour, whatever it was called, the first iteration of it, was the reason why it gets so watered down, the sport. There's so many races on the calendar, and try to make these marquee races where all the top guns are always going to be at. And it's been a big change where you never had guys who won the Tour de France doing the classics. No way. Once in a blue moon, Lance would come and help out George in Flanders, but he would never be gunning for it. He'd do okay in Amstel and Liège, and he put a little bit of emphasis, and he was just so good at those races. He'd be up there for sure. But going there for the 100% peaking for that's a big change. And I love it. I mean, that makes a lot more eyeballs. I'm tuning in as it is, but now that Remco's going to be there, I'm even more excited. These kind of guys who could truly go up the road. And if he's a problem, if he's up the road, he's a big problem. You don't want to just let anybody go up the road. So it puts more pressure, but it makes it such a great event. I mean, and if any of you guys watching at home, and TJ, you yourself included, if you ever get the opportunity to be a fan at the Tour of Flanders, it is the most fun race you've ever been to. You go inside, it's all nice and warm. They serve all this food, of course, tons of beer. They even have like white Burgundy up there. Watch it out there, and then go right back outside. You're on the Quermont. It's so much damn fun. They did a really good job of that. But I like how this has all changed, though, TJ. The way that the big riders are going for the big races that just aren't the Tour de France. We don't have to wait to July to see these guys knock heads.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what changed in sort of my generation and the generation before it, where we always said you just have to specialize. You're either a climber, you're either a GC guy, or you're a sprinter, or you're a classics guy, or you're a one-day hilly classic specialist. Like, I don't know why everything got so specific. Because if you go back before that, you had guys like Bernard Hinault, you had guys like Greg LeMond, and you had guys like Eddie Merckx, and they were doing everything. It wasn't until, I don't know, I want to say in the Postal era that everyone said, like, no, let's cut out all these races, and now we're going to peak specifically for this and peak specifically for that. And if I'm going to be a stage racer, these are the races I'm going to do. And it's same with me. Like, I had an interesting program my Neo Pro year because I didn't know what kind of rider I was going to be. But then after my Neo Pro year, it was basically just like a cookie cutter program every single year after that. I was like, you do Paris-Nice, you do Catalunya, you do the Dauphiné, you do the Tour, and then maybe some American races here and there, maybe world championships. And it was like, that was my season year after year after year. It would have been kind of interesting to take a shot at the Cobbled Classics or do, mix it up a little bit, because these guys these days are proving that you don't have to be a specialist anymore. You can do it all.
Yeah. No, I think if you're a good bike racer, you're a good bike racer, isn't it? I mean,
Absolutely.
you could do everything. You know how to fight for position, because look, you're fighting for position every day in the Tour de France, whether you like to or not. That's just part of the job now. It's crazy, it's chaotic, it's dangerous as hell. I would say the biggest reason, though, I mean, if I again playing devil's advocate in this one, is that the risk versus reward, to go and, if you get out of there and you get a fifth place, or you end up in the hospital and then you ruin your preparation yet again, going for the Tour de France, shit. Is that worth it for you, And, for Remco, especially how much cheese they had to spend on him to even to get him over there to Red Bull, I'm sure there's he might want to do it, and you want to keep him happy, just like with Tejay. He wants to always race, and you got to keep him happy because that's the essence of Tejay. But at the same time, you're like, I'd rather you be in Tenerife doing a training camp. It's a lot less risky. So yeah, we'll see.
You know what? Bob Roll made one of the best arguments. Remember when I was sparring with him, I like to debate on camera, and it was the gravel stage of the Tour. And I was saying, I don't know, this is so dangerous. And he's like, the mountains are actually a lot more dangerous. So if you remember, the worst crash that we saw from a couple of years ago was the one in Pays Basque. Pays Basque, you think of that as being kind of one of those like white collar, you get your climbers and your GC guys on nice roads. The Basque roads are just super smooth. It can be rainy there. But these guys go ripping down these descents at these crazy speeds now. Like, yeah, it's going to cause some damage if you crash there. Now, I've only raced in the Paris-Roubaix cobbles in the Tour de France, and I got caught up in a few crashes, but it wasn't those crashes. You just kind of like tip over. You're actually not going that fast. I would say like the risk of injury in Paris-Roubaix. Yeah, you can crash, but I don't think those crashes are so massively catastrophic. I mean,
that's a great point. That's a great point. I did it myself. I did it 3 times. You're right. You're right. I mean, it's flat. There's no big descents. I mean, there has been some bad crashes, of course. I mean, we think of Museo and his knee, and the Arenberg Forest and things like that. You really have like let's call it 7-8 field sprints in the race just to get to the front of the cobblestone sections, and that is I guess the danger. But now with the speeds at 65k an hour from 5k out, it's like a VO2 test on the front anyway. So now
they made that big chicane. They made that big chicane like that right before the Arenberg Forest to kind of slow the speed down a little bit. I was kind of critical of it because me, I'm a traditionalist, but once I saw it, it did look like it made the speed slower. It made the run in a little less hectic. I think it made it safer.
Yeah. One last one. Headline with Geraint Thomas. Well, I shouldn't say it's a headline because we knew this was coming for a while. At least he told us that we knew that he was going to be working in the front office. He's been a part of this organization, I believe, since 2010. I want to say he started the first year. Geraint, and he was doing a different program back then because you have to remember how much focus he had on the Olympic Games in the team pursuit in the track, going back and forth. But so he's been there he did almost 15 years as a rider, and now he's going to be in the front office. I mean, do you think he could help turn the tide there, or do they need to look for people outside of their organization?
I absolutely think he can turn the tide. And I don't know what his administrative skills are. I don't know how much paperwork he's going to be doing, but you're getting kids basically right out of high school now. So imagine like Geraint Thomas comes knocking on your door. It'll be like Nick Saban or primetime Deion Sanders coming knocking and sitting on the mom's couch and like saying, we're really interested in your kid here. If you have Geraint Thomas picking up the phone and calling these guys, flying around, going into sitting in the mom's living rooms and eating their pie and cookies and drinking their coffee, saying, hey, we're really interested in your kid. That's gonna carry some weight. I mean, a guy like Geraint Thomas, guys are gonna be like, whoa, you're actually calling me and you're coming to recruit me. Let's do this.
That's true. I mean, that's one thing that he has never been shy of is the people's hearts, through all different countries. Just the way he held himself within the peloton, how us as riders viewed G, and the moms and dads that you're just speaking of, the moms blushing and dads like in awe of this dude that is just a good guy, a guy you want to have a pint of beer with, so that's a great, I didn't think of the recruiting side of it, T, and that's an interesting one to think of. It's more of just what I thought of inside the organization and just really looking like they couldn't get out of their own way at times. And it's slowly but surely, you can see it turning around. And it's a great perspective that you have on that.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't know what the underlying issue is with Ineos. And honestly, we hold them to such a high standard because we're used to seeing them win the Tour de France every single year and with multiple different riders. It was Wiggins, then it was Froome, then it was Geraint Thomas, then it was Egan Bernal. And not only the Tour de France, they also were winning the Vuelta and the Giro and everything in between. So the fact that they haven't found that one person, and obviously they're also contending against Tadej Pogacar and the budget of UAE, which is just insane, out of this world. So I don't think that there's anything fundamentally wrong with that team. I just think that maybe they need to readjust their standards a little bit because look, Lidl Trek, that's basically the incarnation of, U.S. Postal. I mean, well, I guess it's a much different organization from then, but it was always kind of this, it went these ebbs and flows of like winning and then some dry years. And now they're like a powerhouse team again.
Yeah.
This might just be a lull, but I think Geraint Thomas to be able to, go sit in those kids' living rooms and be like, hey, we want you guys. That's going to kickstart this team, I think, right back to the top.
And we
haven't
need
been
that
bad. Like, look at what Tiemann Arensman did in the Tour this year. They haven't been that bad.
Yeah. Agreed. I mean, we need them, as fans, and I mean, you don't need them. You're an EF, but like as the fans and pundits on the other side, we need more depth within the peloton. We need those guys to be able to be chirping up there and making life rough for the guys who are the UAEs who just roll out the red carpet, just like they did, like you mentioned. I mean, they were the worst, honestly. You want to talk about boring racing back in the day? That was boring. When you have 4 or 5 black jerseys on the front, absolutely demolishing the peloton. I mean, that was hard to watch internally and externally. So yeah, we're pulling for Ineos as much as possible, as much as we drub on them, and maybe our standards are a little bit too high from the past. Last question, Tejay. You're talking about your race program, and it's not only the riders who get the race programs, it's the directors. So did you win the lottery this year? You got some good races you get to sit in the car with, or are you disappointed?
No, I'm pretty stoked with my program. I start off in Mallorca, which will be easy for me because that's just right out my back door. I mean, I have a race that starts and finishes in Alaro, the village I live in, so that'll be perfect. And then I have some cool stuff going on. I have let's see, I do Catalunya, I do Tour of Swiss, I do the Giro, but the coolest part of my program is I do Japan Cup.
Oh yeah,
that's probably the most like fought after race for all the directors. We always are like, I want to do Japan. Give me Japan. And I got it this year. So won the lottery.
Nice. Yeah. Little known fact, TJ is really big in Japan, real big. Everyone knows it. Household name. Real quick though, I'm really, really happy to talk about the training camps. I'm always intrigued about that. The reason I even brought this up earlier is just because I'm watching George's team is really more or less right out back, Modern Adventure. And I was blown away because I forgot what it looks like when you have all the bags of swag and clothing all lined up, the bikes, the bike bags, the helmets, the new cars all wrapped up. It's like Christmas comes early. I mean, it's really cool to see. And this is a smaller team. So when you're saying you have 500 people coming in and out of the hotel, it's nuts. I mean, so I think people need to understand the reasons why these budgets have become so big. I mean, of course, the riders' salaries have gone up there, and that's been a big pull, but it's more so from the infrastructure side and the training camps and the really making sure that these guys are performing at the top of the level. And okay, this training camp in November and December is a lot more fun than it is serious, but that the second they walk out the door, I think the chip is put in and they become serious right away.
Oh, 100%. And yeah, like you said, it is like Christmas. And man, I always get that tinge of jealousy when I go to these camps and I watch all these riders peeling open their ASOS clothing and looking at their brand new polished, shiny bike. And, I get a little bit of that because I get my team polos and my Brooks shoes or whatever. But it's not the same as when you're a rider and you're getting all this brand new, shiny stuff and all the best stuff in the world. But yeah, like you said, it's the organizations have just gotten massive. And not only that, but the race calendar has just grown. Like when you started, I don't think there was a Tour Down Under. Now we're flying to Australia in January, and the races are getting pushed out. There was no Japan Cup or Tour of Guangxi in China when you started racing, but now people are racing backed up into November, and they or end of end of October, like sometimes into early November, and they're already starting in January. So it just takes like so many more people to actually get this thing done.
Awesome. Awesome, TJ. Well, thanks for that insight, dude. That was fantastic to hear from you. I don't want to know what the bar bill was at PGA Catalunya this last week, but I'm sure they did just fine.
It was not typical Spanish prices for a beer. I'll tell you that. It was 5-star hotel prices. So the bar bill, like when you bought a round, you felt it. You felt it.
All right, buddy. Take care of yourself. Thanks for that, TJ.
All right. Good to see you, Christian.
For all your cycling content year-round, subscribe to NBC Sports YouTube page. We got it all.